All right, good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping on our team meeting masterclass. It is Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We always start our meetings with big wins. So if y'all have a big win and you want to go ahead and throw a big win in the chat, would love to hear what you are thankful for, either personally or professionally in your work environment. Tell me something you're thankful for, you're grateful for today. Really sets a perspective for us on what's important and just keeping our focus on the good things we're doing. So I think there's a good amount of people jumping in here. We'll get started in about 2 minutes, but go ahead and throw your big wins in the chat. My big win, we were in Bluffton at the home office. So I'm based in Charlotte and our office is in Bluffton, South Carolina, the upstate, middle state. And so we had a great 12-week live event and had about 140 clients, owners, key leaders that we hosted for a 12-week live event on team building and vision and planning, and it was awesome. And so we had a lot of great conversations, a lot of really good work that was done. So that's my big win for the week. Heading to a triathlon this weekend. Pretty excited about another race. Haven't done that in a couple years, so it should be fun. If you got a big win, go ahead and throw it in the chat. Also, I'm going to share our tool that we're going to be using today. We did use a separate template tool last week, and this week we're going to be using a different tool. So I did share that in the chat. I'll probably have to share that again when everybody jumps on. But yeah, y'all go ahead and share. Give me one big win from everybody. I'd love to hear it. And yeah, we'll get started in about 90, 60 seconds or so after people jump on. Give everybody a second. We are in team meetings and we are focused on building a company culture of accountability, transparency, humor, joy, really engaging our teams and bringing life and knowing that we do good work. So S. Pickering said our office had a great monthly staff meeting. That is awesome. Monthly staff meeting. Sometimes they're dreadful, but that's so good to hear that you guys had a good one. And so hopefully this will be encouraging and helpful to continue building and to continue to build systems and processes. Cami had a great collaboration at our weekly staff meeting this week, and Brett has started one-on-one meetings with our team. Yes. So Cami and Brett are in Flint, Michigan. They do some incredible renovations and work and have a great team in Flint, just outside of Detroit. That is awesome. Okay, well, let's get started. And as people join in, they'll join in. I think I can let them in. Let me make sure I can let people in. Participants. Yeah, we're good to go. Cool. So, team meetings. I will briefly review what we did last week. We did big wins. This is who we are. We are a team of 10 with 6 professional coaches, and our goal is to liberate business owners from chaos and release you from the urgent fires of running the business and working on the business, building systems and processes to create efficiency and do good work. So that's us. This is our Big 5 feedback loop. And the Big 5 feedback loop is our communication vault, should we say. When we have information that we need to share with teams and our teams need to work together, they need to communicate and have updated information together, we see a 5-prong approach to having successful communication, both verbal and receiving. So team meetings is one part of that we're talking about. We've got executive meetings, which is high level, strategy, vision. Kind of the question we ask in executive meetings is this a worth work doing? Is this the right work? Team meetings, how are we working together? Department meetings, what are the work updates? This could be production, it could be sales, it could be specific to a project. Annual evaluations, are you aligned to your skill set? Are you aligned to the right work? And then one-on-one check-ins, how do you feel about your work? What's your experience of the day-to-day? So that's more of a ground level work. Those one-on-one check-ins are great. So last week, we talked about outcomes and tactics. So we're begin with the end in mind, having a framework for a target we're trying to hit. So we talked about outcomes and tactics. This was our workshop template. What are the outcomes you want from a successful team meeting? If you think about the best teams that you've been on, the best engaging cultures you've been on, what are some of the outcomes you've experienced from those meetings? So we said the team's excited about the vision of our company. We build relational trust. There's goodwill between each other. I know that's a big one. Events are planned and the workload is shared and accountable. It's a great outcome for team meetings. Okay, if we want that outcome, then we started building the tactics and some of the ingredients that we need to do. So if we want to be excited about the vision of our company, well, what if every other week we shared a story of how our vision made a difference in how we were engaging with how we were sharing our story. Were we building homes? We were renovating homes. This family moved in, and this is the story of their experience. That's every other week. We're sharing our vision. It's a tactic to get to our outcome. We also talked about relational goodwill, sharing big wins, researching pain points, adding workflow. So there's tactics we can add that are going to be effective at getting us to the outcome. So outcomes and tactics. That was our last week. And so this week, well, we talked about, oh yeah, destructive bombs of meeting. What are those? Technology, unpredictability, cancellation, off agenda, off topic, lack of implementation. Those are the bad ingredients of a team meeting. I don't know how many of you are into sourdough, but my wife is in her sourdough era, as the kids say. You've heard this. We like creating, she's been a bread maker for a long time, loves making bread, loves using the right ingredients, but she's always testing. She's learning about new flours. She's testing the sourdough starter. She's always working, but it really matters what ingredients you put in. So the ingredients you put in to a sourdough or a dish, if you like to cook, if you like to grill, the ingredients you put in are what you will get out. So what is culture? Before we get going, we need to answer the question of what is culture? Because culture is a biology term. It's not a business term. Culture is what goes into a petri dish. It's a bacteria or virus or food that we grow. So it grows in a biological sense. So culture is not just luck. Culture is not just crossing your fingers, matching uniforms, ping pong tables in the office, cool designed interiors. Culture is intentionally mixed and planted. So if you think about culture, you think about what goes into culture. Sometimes you can take corn, rye, wheat, barley, you mix it with yeast, you ferment it, you heat it, you cool it, and eventually you have a product that can be used either for fuel or hand sanitizer, or you guessed it, bourbon, right? There's a basic premise for all bourbon and all alcoholic drinks that ferment. Whatever you go into the mash bill was what will come out tasting like. So you'd be surprised if you put corn and rye in a mash bill and it comes out tasting like chicken, right? Nobody's buying chicken flavored bourbon. I think you guys would agree that's probably not the best opportunity in business world of chicken bourbon, right? So business owners also share these stories and their frustrations of, wow, you're really lucky to have good culture, really lucky that this came out this way. But this would be like telling a bourbon maker or a winemaker, wow, you're really lucky that you came out with a good product. No, if you want a good culture and you want a good product, the things you put into the culture is what will come out. It's a direct result of the ingredients you use. So let's say, for instance, your culture is this: unpredictability, inconsistency, no process, no values, gossip, no communication. If those are your ingredients of your culture, well, you're probably not going to be surprised if your company culture has a lack of trust that comes out, or chaos as a result of no processes, or inconsistent results in the outcome. Now, what if your culture ingredients were encouragement, reinforced process, a clarity in mission, vision, values, accountability to the work that gets done, humor, consistent communication? Well, if those are the ingredients that we're adding into our processes, well, then we can expect that the result of that would be a direct result of what we're putting into it. So as we think about team meetings, this was our start last week. These are the great team meeting ingredients. And so we're going to work today. I hope you've got a pen and paper. I hope you've got a computer, because we're going to work. The great team meeting ingredients are a defined outcome that we worked on last week. Number 2, a written agenda sent out ahead of time. Number 3, a named leader. Number 4, the right voices. Number 5, a schedule for completing actions, accountability. And number 6, a plan for implementation. Many of you skip this, and we cannot skip this. And I'm going to explain this in a second. So defined outcome, written agenda, named leader, right voices, schedule for completing actions, and a plan for implementation. All right, let's build it. I am on my sheet here. Can everybody see my sheet here, this implementation plan? I got a couple people logged in. Let me go ahead and share this link again for you guys. Copy link and go to team meeting. So if you joined late, I'm going to add that again. So I'll wait for a couple people to populate in here, but here's what we're doing. We started last week. Again, I'll refer last week if you weren't here. We talked about the outcomes and talked about tactics. Now we're going to talk about implementing. We're going to talk about putting the right ingredients and the right agenda together to make sure that the outcome we're going to get from our team meetings is what we are putting into it. So this is going to be a digging session. So if you got this pulled up, go ahead and go to your file, go to make a copy. If you're logged into Google, you can save it right to your drive. You can save it and edit it. You won't be able to edit it as if you try to edit my copy, my template, it'll just let you see it. But go ahead and go file, make a copy, and then you'll be able to save it where you want to have it. So this is going to be digging. This is going to be kind of an unearthing that's going to allow us to dig into what we need, and then we're going to be able to put an agenda together. So number one, if we're going to implement team meetings, we're going to add these to our ingredients of our company. What are 4 to 6 clear agenda items that must be included in your team meetings? I'm going to give you some of ours. I'm going to give you some of our ingredients that are very successful. But what are 4 to 6 that just off the top of your head, as you're thinking, if you're working with a team, ask this question: what agenda items, what business contexts, what ideas need to be discussed? And let's think about the communication that needs to happen. So this could be a marketing plan. This could be a sales process. Who is involved in those, that when they're in a team meeting together, you can work on the process and the communication between you, okay? That's number one. Number two, who are the people that need to be included? Is this going to be every contractor and sub that you have in your business? Maybe not, but there's a limiting. Who are the core team meeting people that need to be here? This could be a large group, this could be a small group, but this needs to be defined. What's the agenda? Who are the people? And then 3, what meeting framework have other people used in our industry? What are we missing from our structure? This is one of the most overlooked parts of building companies, is considering how other people have done it. Hey, if there's a roofer in your area or you know other roofers, what kind of team meeting are they doing? What kind of processes are they discussing in their team meetings? Can we anchor with them and see what could be helpful for us? How can we learn from other people? Just a way to test what's going on. Number 4, what is the frequency and exact time this meeting will take place? So we've got an agenda, we've got people, we've got a test of who else is using this, and what's the exact day. Tuesday, 8 a.m. every week, repeatable, predictable, meaningful, the RPMs of leadership, right? So we need an exact frequency, and this cannot be canceled. Scott was very adamant this week with our owners about not canceling team meetings, because we're creating a culture of consistency, not of complacency. So do not cancel your team meetings, schedule the date. Now, here's what most people miss. Most business owners say, okay, the meeting is this time, and then they have the meeting. If you're going to be really successful at building processes and doing this well, there's a plan for implementation that you're going to need. And so this means building out a plan for...
Why are you playing PlayStation?
That's right, Jonathan. I'm with you. So first step might be something like schedule meeting with Zoom link, if applicable, and send invites. So you've sent email invites to every one of your team. Next step, review agenda with individual speakers. So say you have individual team leaders that are running part of the meeting. There's 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. There's an opportunity for you to say, okay, you've got this 5 minutes. Is there anything that we need in our presentation or in our thing to prep for it? Nope, you're good. You got this? Okay, great. Review the agenda with team meeting. This is just something we can build out. And so if we think about the implementation of team meetings, it's not just schedule it and have it. It's what needs to be prepared ahead of time so that this will go well. Maybe it's considering review food and coffee. People are always happy with food and coffee, right? If you're having a morning meeting, who's going to bring the food and coffee? If there's printing that needs to happen ahead of time, print agenda and bring along, right? So let's consider what are the implementation steps. So this is what y'all are going to work on in a second. But what I'd like y'all to do is, with your teams together, what's the agenda items? Who are the people? What's the framework? What's the frequency? And what's the implementation? And these are just some ideas. So I'll leave those there. Now, once you have this done, this is our groundwork. This is our unearthing, figuring out what it is that needs to be in our team meeting. We've now graduated to building our team meeting structure. So we've got outcomes and tactics. We've got that put together. Now we have a plan for implementation. Now we can build the agenda. Now we know what are the key ingredients that have to be included in our agenda. Well, y'all know we start with big wins all the time. all of our teams, all of our owners, all of our key leaders, big wins, begin in gratitude. What are you thankful for? Just share something that's positive, that's good, that's hard, that's good, whatever in your life that could be personal or professional. Let's talk about that. Awesome. It's 5 minutes. It sets the perspective of the meeting. It's really great. Now, next we go to our culture calendar. Well, we haven't gotten there yet, have we? How many of you are like, what, culture calendar? What the heck is a culture calendar? Well, I will share the link here included in the template for you guys, a culture calendar. A culture calendar is our way of making sure the right ingredients are going into the team meeting. This is our framework for team meetings. So if you want to build a culture calendar, this is the on the business work that a lot of people don't like to do, but we're going to hold you to the fire. What are weekly rhythms that you need in your business? What are birthdays and anniversaries you want to celebrate? That could be your team members. That could be your anniversary, work anniversary. It could be spouse anniversaries. What are monthly rhythms? What are monthly reminders you need to ingredients adding to your team meetings? This could be separate to quarterly, semi-annually, or annually. I've just put some examples in here, some things we do. Here is our culture calendar. Happy to share this with you guys. We review this every Tuesday morning at 8:25 a.m. Why 8:25? Because at 8 o'clock we have a team meeting. At 8:05, we've done big wins. We do a devotional. We share some time together. At 8:20, we're starting culture calendar. 8:25, somewhere in there. What we do with this is we highlight the week, and then Brent, one of our coaches, he's the quarterback of our team meetings. Brent walks through this and says, okay, we're on our agenda. We're on our agenda. We did big wins. Culture calendar. Let's pull it up. Team meeting. We're in that today. Coaches meeting was great. Here's our check-ins. Have your check-ins scheduled? One-on-one check-ins, part of the Big Five feedback loop. Office space. Ashley talked about office space this week. She shared HR policies per se on keeping the office space clean, locking it up, all, little things that seem funny, but it takes 2 minutes and reviews, and it's super helpful. Marketing training this week was about asking questions. Our coaching training this week was a weekly client email, updates on how we update our clients. We review this every week, some form of marketing, sales, coaching training. We've got construction training in here. Brent just updates it. We add it in our scorecards by Friday. Birthdays. Oh, Thomas's birthday is Saturday. That's our director of coaching. I'm going to send him a text on Saturday and say, hey, Thomas, thankful for you. Love working with you. Had a great time this week. Happy birthday. I hope you're celebrated. It's a simple thing, right? It's a culture that's a simple thing that's repeatable, that is building intentional relationships into our culture as a team. Super fun. So we've got kids, spouse, birthdays, work anniversaries, QB roles. That's something specific we do. So each of us have a quarterback role in the business that is a different area context. Monthly, we've got different review things that may be vision days, that may be engagement in the community. All of our travel schedule is on here. So if we've got Builder 20 Club, Scott was traveling this week. Next week, Scott and I are going to be in Fort Lauderdale. So if you're in Fort Lauderdale, come say hello. We just update each other on our travel so we know kind of where people are. And then we've got quarterly events, 12-week plan review. How did that go this week? Was it good? It was awesome. Great. Local team dinners, semi-annually. This is all of our culture calendar that we are reviewing and updating each week. This takes about 5 minutes of our team meeting, but it's giving people a view and attention to how everyone's working. So you can build this out. It doesn't need to be as full as our culture calendar is. We have added to this over the years. So as you grow your culture calendar, one thing I would encourage you to do is just build some real simple things you want to review. And then if you've got, I like colors, so I prefer to work with colors. If you want to do the monthly color, okay, we're here. That's going to be the first of the month. We're going to do a KPI review on our dashboard. And then every time this color pops up, I'm going to review it with my team. So simple way to do culture calendar. So we've got big wins, takes a couple minutes. We've got a culture calendar review, 5 minutes. That's in the first, I'll give you 15 minutes. In the first 15 minutes of your team meeting, we have now set a positive perspective for our work and what we're doing. We have reviewed our travel. We've reviewed our rhythms of business that we need to have done. And we're now going into another ingredient. So that will be our 12-week plan review. So I'll give you guys some leeway on this. You see these colors, blue, green, orange, red. These are what I call building blocks or Legos. we can add different Legos and move them around. And so when I'm working with business owners, I'm thinking about what their business needs. So we work with a lot of general contractors, we work with a lot of trades. So there are things that we're going to add in for our owners that are unique and purposeful for them. So I want to encourage you guys, use this template as you can, but if there's a way that you want to adapt it, try to adapt it and make it work for you. So we'd like to give you guys a framework. So our framework is using 12-week plans. So 12-week plans are a quarterly goal system that we identify individually goals that we have, and then every week a couple of people will review their progress on the 12-week plan. One of mine is to rebuild our master process roadmap. And so I am quarterbacking the role of building the master process roadmap. And part of our team meeting is me updating my work on, hey, here's how it's coming. Here's the links I've added. Here's some questions I have. Does anyone have this? It's just building a culture of engagement and encouragement and accountability. So like I can share my work and maybe Thomas will say, hey, I love this. And I think, man, I'm so glad that the work I'm doing is making a difference in our business. There's just a way of engaging and encouraging. It's not as much iron fist, like work harder, get it better, as much as it is an encouragement towards doing good work that matters. So we use 12-week plans. And we have a couple team members share. You can also use check-ins, which are just, hey, we're going to check in on last week. We can also do action items. A lot of people will add action items. Okay, these are the 3 things we talked about last week that absolutely needed to get done. We just, at the end of the meeting, copy paste for the next meeting action items, and we're closing the loop on dropped items, which y'all, I know y'all are probably like, yes, we feel that. We do not want to drop any more things. So copy paste last week's action items to this week's third block. You can do that there. And then this is really the bulk of our meeting. General business items. Y'all know that we have a 4-wall strategy for building business, which includes marketing, telling the world you exist, sales, engaging with clients, signing contracts, operations, building, and then admin, keeping the lights on. So we have a 4-wall structure of how we build business. And so it's an easy way to say, okay, what are our key marketing processes we need to review? If you go to the third tab, I have written a couple of ideas on how you could update this. So ideally, if you've got a master process roadmap, which is your business on one sheet of paper, ideally that will inform you of what processes you need to talk through next. So say it's an admin accounting process. Hey, how are we doing AP report or accounts receivable? Maybe that's one you need to talk about. What's the process for if after 30 days we haven't gotten paid? All of your team needs to know that process. Your bookkeeper needs to know that. Your owner needs to know that. Your PM needs to know that. If they're the ones working with a client on getting paid, that's a process that involves all those people. And so if we can work on that in a team meeting, hey, after 30 days, X happens. Email gets sent. I get a text, this happens. How do we work together to make sure that payment gets sent through? So that's super practical way to review processes and plan for really excellent work. Maybe operations. Hey, once somebody signs a contract, signs on the dotted line, they're in. How do we move from that sales side to then operations? So that could be pre-construction, that could be designer, that could be architect. There's got to be a process, right? But how does that work? What does that look like for you guys? How have you built that in a way that you are owning the process so that from signing of contract to the digging of that first footing, you have a clear next step for all the people involved? So I won't go through all these, but that is an example agenda that you can use. So that's what I've got for y'all today. I think that's sufficient. I know I've been talking a ton, so I'd love to hear if you've got a question in the chat. Feel free to drop it in there, or if you want to come off mute and ask a question, I'm happy to stay on for a couple minutes. I think what I'd like for y'all to do is now take this template and go build it, go write it, go build it. And if you have questions about this along the way, I'm happy to share. But if you got a question, go ahead and drop it in the chat or come off mute. Shawn, would you send the example of BOP's culture calendar you shared with us? Yes, I will, Cami. We'll share that. Yeah, I like the idea that I think sometimes it's hard to think about what those culture calendar pieces are. I've got one client who does all of his clients, he does a big barbecue every 6 months, and he has everybody in and he just hosts a big barbecue and everybody knows about it. And it's a big part of their town. I think that's a great way to add something unique to their culture. That's really, really helpful. Share that there. Y'all can view our culture calendar and take ideas from that. Feel free. We've got a lot of stuff on there. What other questions y'all have? Anybody else? All right. Well, I believe that's it. Well, as you know, we share this often. Vision without implementation is hallucination. And so what I want y'all to do is go build and go implement. Go do something with what you have. Spend the next 30 minutes defining your outcomes, defining your tactics, building your agenda, building your implementation plan. And if you have questions, feel free to shoot me a message. If you are a primary owner and you guys do more than $1 million in revenue and you have more than 3 employees, I've got some space next week on Monday. And if you want to reach out to me on email, I'm going to throw my email in the chat and I can send you a link to my Calendly at mybusinesspurpose.com. I know some of you are clients already, which is great. So you've got access to us. But if you are in that category and want to send me an email or drop your email in there, I'd love to reach out to you and help you think through some of your implementation of this process and take 15 minutes on a call or so. So yeah, feel free to email me. I would love to talk to y'all more, but if there's no more questions, I'd love for y'all to go build, go implement, and we will plan on seeing y'all next week. All right. Y'all have a great weekend, and we will see you next week at our conclusion. And I will ask, it would be cool that if y'all would bring some of your agendas that you've built and some of your implementation plans. I really would love to make this more of an interactive time, as I think we could learn a lot from each other. So go ahead and do that next week, and we'll see you then. Y'all have a great weekend.